We ready? There we go, man. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode from Broke to Millions. I'm live here in the Nasty Natty, Cincinnati, Ohio, and we got an amazing show for you today, man. We got one of my students. We got Steve Predmore coming in here today to hang out. We got my man Joe checking in all the way from Pittsburgh. Well, kind of Pittsburgh, they call it Pennsylvania. He's got a new fireplace or something going on. But look, man, most of all, man, we want to talk about my man Steve. Look, this brother still got the W 2. He bought him a multi unit in Anchorage, Alaska. He's got something in South Carolina. He's got over 110 units. He's using a self directed IRA. He's keeping the bag. He's not sharing the bag with the tax man. And I just I'm blown away, and he's one of my students. So I'm so proud of him, man. But first of all, man, I just need to know this one thing before I even get started. Joe, I'm gonna let you say, but is the abominable snowman real in Anchorage? And how are you managing from way out there, bro? Like tell me with this snow, like, is that real? Like, no, I'm just kidding, man. But like, how you doing this, man?
No, there's no abominable snowman, but
Okay, I was just
certainly
making sure, man.
certainly lots of snow.
It is a lot of snow. Okay, all right, man. So look, man, Joe, man. So Steve, first of all, no, seriously, man. How did you manage this? Like, you got a job, and then you get a deal in Alaska. How you do that, man? And
Hey,
hit that
self
record on the thing. Go ahead. My bad.
self-directed IRA is the way to go, man. It's a lot of untapped money there that people don't realize that they have. They can utilize to invest in things other than the stock market index funds. Yeah, and I listened to a lot of Bigger Pockets and found out how to move money over from an old 401k into a self-directed
Mm-hmm.
IRA, and yeah, it's like there's a lot of things you can invest in, and the,
Yeah. Well, it's great that you said that because when people hear IRA, they typically, like you said, they only can invest in the stock market. But people don't even know they can use their own. They can have their own controlled. That's why they call it self-directed. That you could manage your own IRA and invest in whatever opportunities that you want to get the returns you want. What made you? And then you took a old 401k. Like, did you get penalized for pulling from your 401k?
so a couple steps. I did two different things. For my
Okay,
first deal, I used my current 401k, and I didn't get
okay,
penalized, and I took a loan. I took a loan against it. You can take 50% of your balance, and
okay.
use that and I use that as a down payment on a single family rental here in Baltimore. That was
And what
step
kind of
one.
rate did you have? What kind of rate did you have to pay yourself?
Is 5%. Yeah.
Wow. And that was for your
So,
down payment.
well, no, it's a 5% rate that I'm paying me back. I'm paying back my interest to myself. So the money's no
That's
longer
right.
in your account. You're not getting you're not getting the value of it in the account if the stocks go up and down. So, um, but I wanted to utilize it, like you said, to have more control. So that was
That's
one
right.
way. So that kind of just got a little taste. I was like, I know,
Mm,
So I had some older jobs where I had a larger amount of money. So that's when I went down the self-directed route, and I had moved that over to a self-directed, and
mm.
it goes into a separate bank account, and then there's a whole such of things, and you can't. There's no self-dealing since I'm not 59 years old, so I haven't reached retirement age, so I can't use that for self-dealing type stuff. So you can't use it for if you're
Now, will
actively
you explain
flipping.
to our guests? Will you explain to our guests? I'm sorry. Explain self dealings. Like, I understand, but like, what does that mean? And will you? And if you remember, can you explain like the family line as well? Like, if you remember that,
I just know it can't be
and
any
I
type
can
of
tell.
blood.
There you go.
any
Yeah,
type of
well, like
blood.
blood when you stab somebody, or
Yeah,
like
exactly.
bloodline. Which
Bloodlines, kids, parents, grandparents. You can't like give them money to do a flip or that type of stuff. Um, so you can get in trouble with the IRS by doing that, and like there have been cases where
mm-hmm,
people do that. So there are certain things that they recommend that you do, and you go through a self-directed custodian, and they will kind of disperse the funds for you. If you do your own deal, you can't be working on the project, you can't be painting the house, you can't be you have to hire everybody. um, I
mm-hmm,
took it a step further, and I actually set up a checkbook controlled self-directed IRA,
mm,
which gave me a literal checkbook to be able to cut checks for my GC,
mm.
for my painter, for uh, monthly, insurance payments, for for closing. Um,
Okay.
if you don't do the checkbook control route, you actually it's a much more laborious process. You need to put a request into the custodian. A week later they cut a check to that person, so it's a much longer process.
Mm-hmm,
The checkbook
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
controlled, self-directed, it does cost a little bit more money to set up. I think mine was like $1,100. Um,
mm-hmm.
and you create your own. It's like an IRA LLC, so it's an LLC owned by the IRA, and I'm the manager, and therefore I can cut my own checks. So, but the same rules still apply. Like I can't be doing stuff myself. I can't pay myself. Um, I can't be working on the property myself. You still got to be cutting checks to other people to do it.
The bottom line is you're literally man. You're the not you're not necessarily the custodian, but you're the owner or the benefactor. Maybe if you unless you gave it to somebody else in your family, but you can only manage it for the retirement for this IRA. Now, what type of IRA? I know you said checkbook IRA, but now like when I first started doing self-directed, it was really just the Roth and the traditional, and then there was the SEP. Like now there's like, I don't know, 6, 7 different IRAs. Which IRA do you have? Like,
Mine's a
is
traditional.
yours a traditional?
Yeah.
Okay. And
hmm
can you explain the difference between the traditional and the Roth IRA?
I know one's before tax, one's after tax.
There you go, man. He wins. Give him the give him it's the
I know it would have cost me
so,
more money to set up the Roth initially, because I would have had to pay taxes on like doing that withdrawal, and that would have been a considerable amount of money. And I'm just starting out, but um, so again, getting back to my original thing, I bought one house with my a loan on my 401k, and I bought another house with a
uh,
self-directed IRA, and I still own both. Um, with the self-directed, everything, all the rents that come back in go directly back into the self-directed IRA. I can't touch that.
mhm,
Um, so there's that. I have started looking at doing other things with my self-directed IRA, and that's how I started
really?
investing in other people's deals. Um, and I
Mm,
invested in
interesting.
an LP deal with Tim Vest in South Carolina.
Hmm.
And also
Hmm.
that's how I funded the Fort 30 unit deal in Anchorage, Alaska as well.
So
Now I'm hold on, Joe. I'm gonna go. Well, I'm gonna let you do one other thing. So I want to come back to the LPJV, and I'm gonna let Joe because Joe
Mhm.
probably was going
well, yeah,
there.
I just want to back up
But
a little bit, and kind of, Stephen, can you tell us how you kind of started in real estate in the first place? What got you started?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm work a W-2 guy, and I worked for a large auto manufacturer for 20 plus years. And a few years ago, I was downsized, and
mm,
it was a punch to the gut. I never saw it coming.
So
I
20
did
Felt
years in
that.
a company, 20 years committed to a company, they let you go.
Yep,
Wait,
yep,
whoa, what? You were there for 20 years,
yep.
and then they let you
That's correct.
go?
Yeah,
What's
Wow.
they let
interesting?
everybody go, and
Go
then
ahead.
they also ended up closing the plant here in Baltimore. So there was a
Wow.
lot of people out of work.
That's what's
Man.
interesting about a W-2 and secure jobs, right? Even having 20 years in a company, they could still let you go, which is terrible.
Yep.
But
Man, that's cool. What was your mindset then? Like, what went through your head when that happened, man? Like, how did you overcome that?
It was tough. It was a blow to the ego. I thought I was I don't know, untouchable. I mean, I have an engineering degree and I ended up getting another job quickly,
Okay.
but it was just kind of just a punch in the gut. And at that point, I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I was a Bigger Pockets fan, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was handy, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take some of this 401k money and roll
mm,
the dice.
so did it spark your
Right.
interest in real estate, or did you have a pre-existing interest in real estate, and then like this kind of forced you to really act on what you were
I
dreaming to do anyways?
I think everybody was watching HGTV back then. Everybody kind of had flipping dreams and that, but I was a typical W-2 employee. I was comfortable, but I didn't save a whole lot. So that down payment was
Mm-hmm.
certainly, a daunting thing. Like, how would I ever get that? You know.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
by tapping into the retirement account, it really was the seed money that I needed to get going.
Mm.
Wow. Okay. And then you put. How did you set that up? Like, was that a 5%, 10% of your wages that you gave? You stashed away. How much did you save for your 401k, or let them take out, let them match?
I was just doing the 6% where they would match. That's all I was doing.
Okay.
I wasn't. I wasn't. I
Okay.
wasn't an aggressive saver.
That's right. But
I,
but
I,
that
I
little bit got you started, right?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And you're not a woman, so I can ask you this. So how old were you when you I guess got into real estate?
Mid 40s,
So
mid
you started
40s.
in your mid 40s and you were able to get to accomplish what you had, 88 units. I mean, that's amazing starting that late.
Wait a minute. So Steve, you're telling me it's not too late. Not that 40 is too late, but
Right.
most people, they're in their 40s. Like, what am I gonna do? Even some people in their 50s, like, I can't restart this, but yet you did.
Right.
Like, what do you say about that? Like, is age really a issue there, or like,
No,
is
and
there a
and in
difference?
fact, having a large 401k balance, put you in a very powerful position. All of a sudden, there's a lot of people looking at me like, "Hey, could you fund this deal? Hey, would you want to be part of this deal? Would you want to put down some EMD? Would you, so in that respect, it's good. Obviously, not starting when I was in my 20s is bad, and so I'm trying to teach my teenage son that he needs to start sooner than later, because time is on
Absolutely.
your side.
I really like that you looked at what you had and your resources and you leveraged what you had. I think that was awesome. I mean, that was the
Absolutely.
right move.
I mean, that's one of the great things. Yeah, Joe. Like, even though you have the job, you leverage that to fund, to begin building your additional cash flow or retirement,
Mhm.
uh, so that you won't have to worry about doing another 20 years. I mean, if you choose to. I mean, because if you do a deal yourself, I mean, that's great. Now, you mentioned that, um, you're a LP on one deal, and I don't think you said it yet, but I know you're a JV on another
Correct.
deal. What's the
Mhm.
difference? What's the difference between the LP and the JV?
So I did the LP first, because it's honestly easier,
Well, hold
and
on. Tell 'em what LP means. Tell them what LP means because they may not know.
it's a limited partner in a syndication deal. There's typically a GP, a general partner, who's running the deal, who's finding the deals, who's funding the deal.
There you
And
go.
they bring in LP partners. Typically, 100 or $50,000 is what it costs to be an LP in a deal, but it's really just a one-time transaction. You
Mm-hmm.
vet the sponsor, you look at the deal, and you analyze the deal and say, yes, I'm gonna help this person. I'm gonna invest in this deal, and it's a one-time wire transfer for you.
Mm.
Once that happens, I mean, basically you're receiving, monthly or quarterly email updates and whatever distributions that might, whatever the setup of that deal is. Typically it's once a quarter you get like an ACH transaction. So very hands off, cut it,
Yep.
do a wire, you're done.
That's great.
You're not dealing with the day to day toilets, tenants, and trash. Yeah,
None of that.
yeah.
No.
And it can
And
be
That
and that
LP life sounds pretty
like
good,
it can
man.
get down to
I
25.
kind of like that LP life.
Yeah,
yeah,
Go ahead, Joe. What you say?
yeah. I was just saying it can go as low. I mean, I've heard of people going down to 25,000. I mean, it's anywhere in that mix.
Yep. So the JV deal it's similar, but you have to be it's
Mhm.
much more active. On the
Okay.
JV deal in Alaska, we set up an LLC, and there's about 18
Mhm.
people on this JV team.
Really?
And
Okay.
in order for it to qualify as a JV, you have to have an active role in doing something with the team.
Wait, you had
Mm.
how many people in that deal?
18.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Keep
So
going.
that
Keep going.
that I mean for the Alaska deal, the purchase price was about 3 million. The raise was about 1 million. So
Mhm.
people brought different amounts of money to the deal. And your
Okay.
voting rights on the LLC is pro rata based on how much money you put into the deal. Um,
Okay.
but there's with the JV deal, there is weekly calls, multiple calls. We're all on committees, whether there's a finance committee, there's investor relations, there's asset management, there's marketing. Um, we actually have the painter for the facility. Um, we did a special kind of deal where actually we brought him on as a JV partner as opposed to paying him, and it was kind of a
Oh.
two-folded thing because we wanted to have somebody that would be able to help with the turns much quicker, and it
Right.
just worked out that he was able to do that. So there's all these people and there's all these different things, and everybody's actively doing something. um, we have people doing marketing and doing Google ads and figuring that out because there's a
Good.
couple we have a couple of vacancies right now.
So
So
That sounds like
yeah,
a
it's
really
it's
strong
just more
team, man.
active, and it kind of speaks to me because I'm a handy guy and I want to do stuff. I don't want to just send a wire.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
want to be more actively involved. So
So what
it,
now?
it's
So there's all these different committees. What's your role in this potential
so
JV?
I'm on the finance committee. We just had a meeting today. We are
Mhm.
talking about various things. Like one of the questions you were asking about was snow removal. So yeah, we're interviewing different companies to what the best deal is. We whether they have like an unlimited plan, which is $1,500 a month, and it's the winter there is 6 month period, or you can also
Yeah.
do like an a la carte, like you can pay 350 every time there's a snow event over an inch, and then they'll come out. So we analyze this average snowfall and determined
Right.
probably the best bet to just do the unlimited plan.
well, that's
So
amazing.
Yeah.
One thing that kind of intrigued me about that deal is that's something you have to consider in your underwriting, right? Like the
mhm.
expense of snow removal. You wouldn't think about that necessarily in every place, but that's something you certainly need to consider there.
Yep. And we had some other issues weather related already. We started when we
Oh.
closed on this place end of August, and we
Mhm.
immediately one of the big things that we were going to do is paint the place. Give it a fresh coat of
Okay.
paint. Well, we were only able to get about a third of it done before the temperatures dropped in the area, and the
Oh.
contractor said, "We got to wait till spring. We're done."
Tell the viewers
So
like
When does it start? When does it
was.
start getting cold in Alaska
like
then?
September.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my
Yep.
goodness. Man.
Yeah, Steven. So
And
I'm not sure you mentioned yet how many units that is. What's the deal? Maybe a little bit of details about the deal
sure.
itself.
It's a 30 unit, 6 buildings, and or 5 buildings, five times six.
Okay.
Purchase price was 3 million. Loan was 2.25. We had a $1 million raise. Equity multiple on the returns is 2.16, 9.1 cash on cash, and we're doing like a 5 to 7 year hold.
And what attracted you to the deal? What was your strategy going in?
So, it was a couple things. It was networking. It was, honestly, I'm in a couple masterminds, Mike's included. Mike's is awesome. Um, and just networking with other folks that are close to me that I have a good relationship with. And they showed me the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Alaska's kind of like a hidden gem. Um,
Really?
there's 25,000 active troops up there, spread
Wow.
over 9
Mm.
military bases, and
Mm-hmm.
our facility is really right across the street from JBER, which is a joint base where there's 6,000 active troops.
Okay.
Alaska's the largest U.S. Commercial fishing industry. It's got the fourth largest cargo airport in the world. Um, so there's a lot of good things, a lot of tourism. What else attracted me? It was mom and pop owners. Rents were $200 below market.
Okay, so
The
you're $200 rent upside. So it's a
Yep,
value add property, 30 units, $200 rent upside,
yep.
and and an attractive market. Okay.
Yeah, and the previous owners were looking. They'd already done a bunch of capex. They just put new roofs on it. It's a red state, which
Well, now,
I'm from Maryland, so that's big for
Now,
me.
now, let's go back to the red state for some people that don't know. What's the big deal? Like, you'll hear this like, man, I'm going there because it's a red state. I'm not going deals in blue states. Would you share that with some of our guests here? Why people only want to do the red states?
Typically, red states are much more landlord friendly, and I can speak from experience. I own a rental in Baltimore, Maryland, blue state, and it's extremely tenant friendly. It's extremely difficult to get rid of people that are that
Really?
need to evict. And I dealt with that for
How
months
long does
during
it take
during
to?
COVID.
Oh, now
6
COVID was
months at
crazy.
least.
That was a whole different animal. Like that was a
Yeah.
so outside of COVID, like in Baltimore, how long does it take to normally evict somebody?
I
I
guess I don't have a
understand COVID
normal,
was.
but I'm gonna say 6 months.
Are you
And
serious?
and
Like what? Like
think
do you just give the 3 day notice and then, like in Ohio, 3 day notice, and then you probably got 3 weeks before you go to court. Then you got another 7 days, and then you put them out. So I mean, a month, 2 weeks, yeah, something like that.
no,
45 days, you can have somebody out.
I, I can't get a court date for at least 3 months.
so Mike, would you say that that's why like multifamily is a safer route? I mean, imagine if that was a single family home, right? You've only got one stream of income, and now you're not getting any income for 6 months until you get this eviction through. Whereas if it's an apartment,
Wow.
yeah, you've got one unit that's held up, but you're still generating revenue. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Like that's 1,000%. I mean, just think about it. When that unit is vacant, you still got to pay the taxes. You still got to pay the insurance, right? You got to have to pay utilities because they probably not paying the utilities. And even if they did, when they get out, you got to pay the utilities. You got to pay to turn it over. Um, Man, I mean, there's you still got the mortgage if you got debt on it. Like you still have all these reoccurring expenses that you have to pay. Versus if you got a multifamily, that potentially would cover all those costs while or until you get another tenant.
Right.
Wow, but I really like this JV thing, man. It seems like a lot of work. What do you think are some of the pros and cons of the JV versus the LP?
Cons is it's more work. There's more meetings. There's more things that you need to be involved in. The pros are the exact same thing. I was looking for that. So,
Yeah.
I ultimately want to start doing my own deals. So I wanted to get more into the weeds and start dealing with some of the stuff, dealing with the property manager, talking about how we're going to implement RUBS, how we're going to start implementing pet fees, all these things,
Mm.
to do value add that you don't learn as an LP. You
So,
just get your quarterly statement and you're good.
and it's fair to say that in a JV position or a GP position, you don't have to bring money to the deal, right? Obviously, you have to bring money if you're an LP, but you could get into a deal like this and not bring any money to the deal.
You can. This one, this one had an entry fee.
Okay.
No, that does sound. Now, yeah. Now, so in the JV though, and I'm glad you brought that up, Joe. So I heard you say like people brought different amounts to the table,
Hmm.
but is there one like general manager or managing
Yes.
member that kind of just runs everything still? And did they bring or like minimum regardless of what you brought in? And then like who determines who's the managing member? Is that the person who brought the most money, or is that the person who found the deal? Like how did that come about?
It was the person who found the deal. He actually has other
Okay.
assets up in Alaska, and so he's
Oh,
very familiar with the area. And yeah,
So
it
did
was
he?
it was a 50, it was a 50K minimum entry, but other people brought more. We had some 1031 money that came in, so that was a different amount, and that brought
And
its own
he dictated that, right?
interesting.
Like, he didn't have
What's
to
that?
bring the 50K, right? Because he dictated that, right? Is that correct?
say that
Who
again.
is
We didn't
he?
hear you, Joe.
So like the guy, the deal maker, right? The guy who found the deal. He's the one who dictates who brings the money, right? Like you said, you got to bring 50K. Is that how that works?
No, I
Yeah, I mean
think
he put
really.
in he put in more.
Okay,
Mhm. It's just basically you invite people to the table, and you say this is the minimum, and
okay,
if
Right.
they come on in, this is how we structure the deal. Like
gotcha.
that's that. Now that's interesting. Someone did a 1031. For those who don't know what a 1031, that's kind of like where you can invest in a deal after you've sold something and you had gains, and then you can defer the gains by investing into another deal that's either at the same price or higher. If I can't remember. Um, how did they do that? So did they come in as what they call tenants in common, or did they just
Yep.
own? How did that work for that one? Because I know that's kind of different. I know we're getting a little convoluted here, but let's get these people up there.
Yeah, they came in as a tick, and they are on a separate LLC. It's certainly complicated, and adds to the
Yes.
legal fees. Um, but it's still, money's money. But it has made it more
Money's money.
complicated. Um, as far as closing, they actually had to sign the closing documents as they're another entity. And
Mm,
one thing I just found out today is that we're doing a cost seg on this property, and
really?
it gets more complicated with the 1031 money as to,
Really?
it's almost like they have to do their taxes ahead of time before we can do our thing.
Mm,
And people were asking, hey, is this going to get done before the end of the year? We'd love to get the depreciation for 2023, but
absolutely.
I don't know. This is it's complicated, I know. So I don't have a great answer for you, Mike.
Now, now, why? And explain to people why would they want to do a cost segregation? Like you just bought this building, and what would again? Would you pay like over $1 million for this one?
3 million.
Pay 3 million. Why would you do a
Mhm.
cost seg?
We
Like, is
can
there a certain point you shouldn't do one?
um I mean, I certainly didn't do it with my single family rental in Baltimore that cost me $60,000, because the
Hmm.
cost seg is 10,000 or so. But yeah,
Okay.
we can accelerate the depreciation on a lot of the
Mm,
items that are in this deal, and we can get a huge tax tax break depreciation losses and paper losses. Now, even if we don't finish this in 2023, we'll, it's not like we lose them. We'll just get them next year.
That's right.
So,
Mm-hmm. And how much do you have an idea, a guesstimate of what you potentially can get with accelerated depreciation from this cost seg?
I don't know that. No, sorry.
Well, I can tell you, you're going to be excited regardless of what it is. When you see, you'll be like, wait a minute, I made like for here's a perfect example. So on the hotel deal, we'll have about a 250,000 net cash flow right after the deal, and then for the year, and then but we end up getting 350,000 in depreciation. So technically, if we didn't have depreciation, we would have to pay two taxes, maybe depending on who they are. Some may pay 10, 20, 30% on that 250,000. But because we had a 350,000 depreciation, we had a negative $100,000 loss, although we had a gain. Like that's why I love depreciation. I don't know about. I used to think accountants were boring until I learned about depreciation. Now that's all I want to talk about when we do a deal. Like, what can we get depreciated?
Yep.
Yeah, Steven. So I'm curious. So
Go
you live where? Maryland? Is that where you're living?
Baltimore, Maryland. Yep.
Baltimore, Maryland. How do you do a deal all the way up there? Tell us about
Partners.
that.
Partners, man. I found them through networking. I mean, honestly, there's 18 people in the deal. There's people all over the U.S., Hawaii, Florida, Virginia, Maryland, Minnesota, Alaska. So all over the U.S. So,
Well,
and we don't need to go there, honestly. I mean, there's people that are boots on the ground up there that are running the deal. We have a property manager there that we vetted. We have the main primary person on the deal has other assets up in the area. So I don't have to go there specifically.
so
We are planning a trip later next year, but
okay.
We have boots on the ground.
And can you share with us the secret book with where all the partners come from? All the cool contacts?
Facebook, masterminds,
Wow.
meetups.
Okay.
Being, I do at least one meetup a week. It seems like I'm always out networking and joining other groups. There's lots of deals out there. There's lots of distressed properties out there. There's lots of people that have deals that need money, that need partners, that need JVs, and I would highly recommend people, um, depending how much money. But I mean, I would recommend at least doing some type of joint venture deal before you get into a bigger deal yourself. It just very helpful.
Yeah.
Gives you the confidence.
How many different how many masterminds did you join? And like, is there one particular one, or like, what made you finally pull the trigger? After, because you said you were listening to Bigger Pockets, you joined our mastermind, and then I see
Right.
you in other mastermind, and I see you at multiple meetup groups.
Right.
What made you choose all these different groups, and what made you finally pull the trigger?
That's a tough one. I mean, some people can, are mastermind junkies, and because there's other ones that I've been asked to join, and it's just like I don't have time on my calendar with all these Zoom meetings. Honestly, I know what I need to be doing at this point.
There you go.
So I initially joined Nate Barger's Burr Invest Academy, and that's kind of a mastermind dealing with single family rentals and that's what I was doing, and that's what I thought I wanted to do until I saw this guy out in the hallway wearing some crazy shirt. I said, "What the hell is this guy?" Another mastermind? What? There's no way. But just talking to more people, that it's like, yeah, he's doing big deals, and it just intrigued me, and that's where I wanted to go. I saw the lack of scalability in doing single family deals, and I just wanted to go bigger. I joined the next mastermind, so I'm in 3 because friends of a friend were in it and said it's cool. So I was like, okay.
Okay.
Um, then it had more deal flow. It had a lot of deals and
Okay.
people looking for
That's
deals, doing
great.
deals, and that was what attracted me to it. So that's what made me pull the trigger on that.
Now, what would you say has been your biggest challenge? Now,
Mm.
maybe before and now, like, because before, I can say it was a little bit of education. I'm gonna give you that, but yeah, what were your hurdles before, and then what's your hurdle now?
Um, probably one of the hurdles was just a comfortable lifestyle, comfortable W-2, and not seeing the need to to push myself. I was a job for
That
life
job will hold
working
you.
with.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
job will hold
yeah.
you just.
And then honestly, I don't know if I really should go here, but I didn't have a really supportive spouse. It was tough.
Mm.
I was
Oh,
all
that's real, brother.
yeah,
That's real.
yeah. It was I you know I, I was so far into it, and the other person just wasn't, just couldn't see it,
Mm.
and yeah, it was tough for a while there. It's
Oh, no,
just
you
different
can't get
different
away from
goals.
this because a lot of people are dealing with this same thing. And, and it's not necessarily spouse. It could be a family member. It could be this. Because even for me, now my dad loved me, man. Like me and my dad had a great relationship, nothing. But when I told him I was doing real estate, he literally laughed at me and told me not to be talking to his friends about doing real estate because that's embarrassing him, right? Like there's different levels to it. I
Really?
get it. How did you and me and my pops are cool, man. I mean, my dad loved me. I love him. But that was their mentality was get a job. But now you got the spouse. She's like, "What are you doing?" And then what do you do? Like you just go buy the deal, like, baby, I'm doing this. I don't care what you say or what.
Well, kind of, sort of, yeah. I mean, I took the 401k loan. It was all on me, and then ultimately that relationship didn't work out, Mike. So I have a new spouse now that's much more supportive.
There you go, brother. And when it happens, man,
Yeah, yeah. I
different
know
goals, man.
people are just growing apart, over the years, and just different goals, and yeah. So
So what are
unfortunately, that's what happened with
Well,
me.
go ahead, Mike.
well, hey, there you go. That's
What
how
would you
we
say your
answer that one.
now then?
What's that?
So do you face any challenges now? As far as your growth in real estate?
Yeah, finding deals and finding the money, and leveling up, gaming up, because these are big numbers for me, and being around people that um, are not scared of these big numbers. Um, that
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
my biggest challenge, is it's a self-limiting belief, that I can't
Mm.
take down this big deal. But
Ooh.
just being surrounded by people that are doing it just kind of is I know is the cure for me. So that's my biggest
I'm,
hurdle is
I'm gonna come to that hurdle, but before we go, look, Instagram, that's my hurdle. In order for me to really get in, I need some thumbs up. I need some hearts pumping in there. So I need you on Instagram right now. Type in the chat. You catch what I'm throwing. Type the hearts. Facebook, Instagram, like it. YouTube, smash the thumbs up and subscribe. We would love to see all those different things. All right. Even
Yeah,
on Zoom,
put
we love to
chat.
see your wonderful smiles and everything. All right. So, thank you, Instagram. See, people on Instagram, they listen. YouTube, thank you, everything. So, I'm glad you said that because overcoming, we can put it as fear, but not that standard fear. Like I like to say, fear is more finding excuses and reasons, right? We always find these, is not, we want to do it, but we find reasons why we shouldn't do it. But doubt and faith run parallel, right? Doubt and faith run parallel. Like if you, because you, everything you doubt or you believe in, you heard it with your own ears, you see it with your own eyes, and when you do that, you frame this picture of where you're going. And so when you begin to have doubt, you frame this picture of doubt and uncertainty. And then after a while, you create this feeling in your heart, right? That then gives you a feeling in your hands of being powerless. But yet, when you believe in something and you continue to see yourself and you tell yourself, you begin to frame that picture in your mind, and then certainty begins. And then you create a feeling and a power in your hands of power, all because you just chose one or the other. So my point is, some of you guys, you may fear different things, but there's no reason to fear. All you have to do is take steps and take daily steps towards the goal, daily actions. And this is what Steve did here. Like, he had the belief, and he believed so much, he put his money on there, he used the 401k. He wants to do bigger deals, and he kept moving forward. He kept getting educated. And so, guys, what I'm telling you is remove all these doubts. No matter what you do, there are going to be mistakes. You're going to have mistakes. Like, it just happens. But as you make these mistakes, you grow. And if you partnered like how Steve did, like, I think you did an amazing way. I wish I would have did the way you did it, right? Like, I just jumped on in and like, I'm a sink or swim and, and tread in water. But like, you got educated, you became an LP. You kind of watch how to report it to the investors, and what a structure should look like and how they potentially manage. Then you took it as far as doing a JV where everybody split up job requirements, and so you slowly learn how to do it on your own and what to look for. So now when you go do your next deal, I mean, a 30 unit, you'll do that in your sleep. I mean, a 50 unit, like, this is amazing, man. I'm really excited for you, and I'm really proud of him because literally, I remember seeing him in the Berg group, but I would see this guy everywhere. I was like, man, him and Tom, Tom be all over the place. Riverbank, he be over there. Steve be over there in Alaska and meetup groups and posting. But I just wanted to say I'm really excited for you, all your success and what you've been into. Joe, you're gonna go ahead and ask a question, but I
Yeah.
want anybody in the chat or in the Facebook or whatever, ask your question now. We're gonna start taking a couple of questions, and we'll go from there. Joe, go ahead.
Steve, so I want to touch on what you said, and it makes a lot of sense to me now that you kind of struggled seeing yourself doing bigger deals. And absolutely, yes, you have to have an education, right, to be able to do that. But sometimes just the know-how isn't enough, right? And that's why it's really important to be part of a network. That makes sense now. You said you go to a lot of networks. You join multiple masterminds. You go to the local meetups. You put the work in to be around people that push you in your limited, you know, mindset, in the sense of like, can I really do big deals? That yes, I have this information. They're telling me this is how it's done. I just have to follow this formula. But the reality is sometimes, like, even with the formula, it's really hard to execute. So it really that really kind of resonated with me how you said, being part of those networks was really important for that mindset for you. And I guess ultimately is what led you to get into a deal like this.
Yep, yep. And I would like to talk like how I started. I sometimes people
Go
say you
ahead.
don't. I know Mike always kind of says you don't have to do the small deals first. I I
Yep.
I I would say, at least for me, I'm glad I did that. I mean, I'm glad I had single family rentals. I mean, I learned a lot. Just the confidence that you get allows you to take
Mm-hmm.
that next step. I never would have in a million years imagined I'm looking at a multi-million dollar property. I never would have done that if I hadn't done the single family for $60,000. So I think that's a necessary step for a lot of folks. I'm just
Mhm.
glad that I kind of went through it pretty quickly. I only have two. I know a lot of folks that have a ton of things, and I'm just like, man, that's just not scalable. That's a lot of water bills you got to be chasing down, a lot of tenants you're chasing down, and I'm glad I went through that, but I'm glad I also went through it quickly.
Yeah.
Uh, Hey, Walt, will you read some of those questions? I don't know what I can't read those.
It says, hold on, hold on, hold on. There's some here. Um, can you do that with? Can you do that loan also with cash value of life insurance?
Oh, so basically, they're asking how you leveraged your 401k. Could you use the cash value of a life insurance? And the answer is absolutely 1000% yes. If you have cash value in a life, not term, but a kind of a life insurance policy that has equity, has cash value, you can borrow from that and do deals. How do I know? Because I've done multiple deals where I borrowed my life insurance policy. Some people like, matter of fact, we talk about small houses. I had equity of probably 80,000 years ago with my life insurance policy, and I literally went to the auction and bought houses cash with my life insurance policy. Now, the crazy thing is, I didn't have any money, but I did have a life insurance policy, so and I leveraged that. And those are some of the great things that guys you can do as well. Like, and if you want to learn more about self-directed IRAs, just put in the chat, and we'll talk about those as well later. But yes, life insurance policies, you can leverage that to do deals. All right. What else we got, Walt?
Was there a penalty moving money from the 401k to the SDRI? SD
Yeah, self-directed IRA.
self-directed IRA.
Mhm.
There it is.
I'll let you take that, Steve.
So no, there was no penalty. This was an old 401k. So once it's an old 401k, you can move it, and I'm not withdrawing it. Um, Still staying in the 401k. It's just using it to buy an asset. Anything that asset earns, it goes back into the self-directed IRA. You're not doing withdrawals, so there's no penalties.
Oh, it goes back
That's a
into it.
Yep. Any type of
Yeah.
rent goes
What
back
now?
into it, and
Yeah.
mhm.
What do you consider an old 401k? What is an old 401k? Where do you
Not your
define
active
that
job, not your active job.
at? Okay,
Okay.
there you go.
And
Thank you.
you got to be
Yeah.
careful, because when you do leave a job and start a new one, the first thing the new 401k company will tell you is, hey, you should roll your old money back into our plan now. And once you kind of do that, you're stuck. So you want to kind of keep them separate, because once you roll it into the new
Mm-hmm.
one, then you can't really access it. You can take the loan against it, but again, you can only get half, 50%. So just beware. Just keep it in the old one. And in the way I did it, I mean, most of my stuff is through Fidelity, so it's very easy to go on Fidelity, and I could look at my old 401k, and there's an option there to do a rollover or take a loan. So it's pretty
Mm.
easy nowadays.
Awesome, awesome. We got another one, Walt?
Yeah. How did you build your team without a support system from your family or your spouse?
Um,
Mm.
Built my team so locally when I kind of built my core for the David Green thing. I had a real estate agent that I met on Bigger Pockets. I had a realtor that I met on Bigger Pockets and a local meetup, and they introduced me to their network. So those were kind of like my two big people, my real estate agent and my lender. And they knew thousands, hundreds of people. So it wasn't difficult. And once I started to continue going to meetups, I constantly stress this. There's a lot of free meetups there every week. You start seeing the same people, and you start having more meaningful conversations. So that's how I met them.
Mm.
Now, your meetups were they're bigger pockets meetups, where they're just random
No,
meetups, like we're
Maryland, RIA, Baltimore, RIA. BWI, RIA. There's lots of them, and it's certainly they've started increasing a lot more since COVID's done. And for a while there, it was kind of a, the Zoom meetups, which kind of sucked, honestly. But
Yeah.
they're out there. Go to meetup.com. We're trying to start a Maryland meetup here for Mike's group as well. Going to be leading that. So there's lots of meetups out there.
Nice.
Meetup.com. Yep. Eventbrite.
Okay.
I have
might
a
need to
question.
do something. I'm gonna be in DC next week, man. So we might. What is it? Is a Thursday good for anybody to hang out or what?
Where are we going?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll call you. I'll let you know. I'm headed there.
Sure.
Walt, we got another question in there.
Can a self-directed IRA be a Roth, or is it a traditional untaxed growth with taxed withdrawals?
Okay, I'll take that one for you. So I'm gonna let. So here's kind of the difference. The Roth IRA, your money is already taxed, and so then you put your money in, and as it grows, it is no longer being taxed anymore. So then when you get to, I think it's 59 and a half or 62, whatever age it is, when you start withdrawing your money, you're no longer paying taxable gains on any of that money. All right. Then in addition, the amazing thing I like about the Roth is you can have this constant cycle. Every time you do a deal, you make a profit. As long as you do it through your Roth IRA, you don't pay any gains in it. Now, with a traditional, and that's, you'll hear the word SEP, and then I think there's another SEP 401k and all these other different IRAs, but the two basic components is the traditional and the Roth. The difference with these other ones is you can put more money in it. Like it used to be the max was 6,000. I don't know where that number is now because I don't use mine anymore. But traditional Roth, you can put your money in and then it gets taxed on the way out. So every time when you get to 59 and a half and you grew that thing to 200, every time you draw down money that year, whatever you drew down, you're going to pay taxes on that. All right? Okay. What else we got, Walt?
How do you go about borrowing from your 401k?
Steve, I'll let you
So
go for that
so
one.
in my case, my 401k was administered by Fidelity. They have a website. You go in there and look at your balance and look to see whether you can do a loan. They also offer a withdrawal, but I wouldn't want to do a withdrawal because you get penalty. So
That's
it's all
right.
through the website.
Now, one thing, guys, when you borrow from your 401k, it's really how the company also structured it, especially if it went through your company, because there's some certain ERISA laws that they have in place. Now, typically, you should be able to borrow 50% of what you have in your 401k. That's typically how it works. But you'll run into some groups where they will not let you withdraw. They may only let you withdraw or borrow 10% of what you have in there. So, one thing when you're starting a 401k, you want to make sure that, at some point you can borrow money from your 401k if you need it. Because the whole point of putting a 401k is not only for saving for retirement, but it's saving for an emergency as well. And you have people, if some 401ks, you got to go through so many hurdles just to get some of your money out. So when you do a 401k, be careful of that. All right. Walt, we got another one?
No.
No. Okay. Joe, you got something, brother?
Yeah, Steve, if you had to give one piece of advice to new investors, what would you give them?
Get educated, join masterminds, go to meetups, be active. Don't just sit behind your computer. You need to meet people. It's a people game. and yeah, be active.
That's great advice.
I use my car as my educational university. I don't listen to the radio. I haven't listened to the radio in years. So many podcasts. I love it. Got my Bluetooth on or to my phone. I love it. And car trips don't bother me anymore. I've driven out to Cincinnati to see these guys a bunch of times. It's an 8-hour drive, and it goes by quickly when you're listening to all these podcasts. I love it.
That's great.
That's amazing, man. Hey, well, look, that's our time. I want to thank Steve so much. Everybody give Steve a round of applause, give him shouts up, thumbs up. If you found this information useful, hey, go on Instagram, push the thumbs up, follow, like, subscribe, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Push the thumbs up on this, like everything you see. Just like everything, all right? Just like when you're outside, just like outside, okay? All right, but look, man, thank you guys so much for joining. Thanks, Steve, for spending time with us. And as always, everybody, God bless you, God keep you, and may God bless you beyond your belief, but not your capacity. And remember, you're one big deal away. Peace.